Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. You know, Airflow has dominated the industry for a decade, but here we are in 2026 and we have to ask this question. Is it legacy stability actually becoming your biggest technical debt? Today we are stress testing the old guards against perfect lighting fast dynamic automation and Dagster's asset-centric logic. Stop building pipelines that break under pressure and see which engine actually survives the modern Lakehouse demand. So the landscape of data orchestration has completely fractured. We are no longer just scheduling nightly batch jobs into a warehouse. The shift towards decentralized lakehouse architectures and AI integrated platforms means your orchestrator isn't just a clock anymore. It is the central nervous system of your entire business. Right now, we are looking at three massive solutions. The battle tested standard bearing Apache Airflow now it is in 3.x era, Perfect 3.0, which has doubled down on a momentary serverless first approach, and Dagster, which threw away the traditional playbook entirely to focus on software defined assets. Choosing the wrong tool in 2026 does not just mean a few failed DAGs, it dictates your cloud compute bills, your pipeline latency, and the total cost of ownership for your AI platforms. So let's break them down. Let's start with the undisputed heavyweight champion, Apache Airflow. If you are operating at an enterprise scale with thousands of legacy integrations, Airflow 3.0 version is still the big rig of the data engineering. In 2026, Airflow's provider ecosystem is completely unmatched. If a tool exists, there is an Airflow operator for it. But more importantly, the recent architectural shift in the 3.0 releases have finally addressed the elephant in the room, scheduling latency by implementing stricter database access restrictions, introducing a new task SDK, and optimizing their Python backend. Airflow has severely reduced the sluggishness that was caused during a high volume of during the production bursts. But here is the friction point. Airflow still thinks exclusively in tasks and dependencies. It thrives on a static DAG execution. You define the graph, the scheduler reads it, and it runs. But as we integrate more AI and real time inference, the demand for agile event driven triggers is exposing the rigidity of Airflow's core philosophy. It requires heavy, always on infrastructure to manage, which brings us to its modern rivals. If Airflow is a massive freight train, Prefect 3.0 version is a fleet of autonomous drones. Prefect completely rejects the rigid static DAG model. Their philosophy is orchestration as a code, meaning any Python functions can instantly become a dynamic tracked workflow. Prefect 3.0 version has perfected the art of ephemeral infrastructure. During a stress test simulating a real-time streaming ingestions for ML pipelines, Prefect was an absolute beast. Instead of an always on server sitting idle and eating up your AWS budget, Prefect dynamically spins up exact compute capacity like an ECS task process the data and spins down. Furthermore, their new transactional interfaces allows for automatic rollback for side effects on failure. This react to error handling is a lifesaver for nonlinear, unpredictable AI workloads. However, Prefect's ultimate flexibility comes at a cost. It bridges the gap of dynamic execution, but it historically struggles to narratively provide the deep data aware lineage that heavily regulated enterprise now demand. And that is exactly where Dagster step in. Dagster asks fundamentally different questions, while Airflow and Prefect asks, did this task run successfully? Whereas Dagster asks, what is the state of this data asset? This is the software defined asset revolution. In 2026, Dagster is a less of traditional orchestrator and more of a unified control plane for your entire data platform. By typing orchestrations directly to the assets produced, whether that's a DBT table, a Parquet file, or your Lakehouse or an LLM vector embedding, Dagster reduces the cognitive load of debugging. Its native observability is incredible. You can track data freshness, run built-in data quality tests, and see your operational metadata right in the UI. They have even introduced integrated AI assistants for Slack altering and impact analysis. If your platform is fitted by data silos and your team is tired of hunting down which broken task poisoned which downstream system or dashboards, Dagster assets driven logic survives the complexity of modern metadata far better than any legacy task driven models. So, who survives the 2026 cloud native stress test? We benchmarked the CPU overhead and memory footprints across all three components. Airflow required the most baseline resources. You are paying for that always on a scheduler and massive metadata databases. Perfect for the computation on cost efficiency for bursty workloads, saving up to 60% on compute through its ephemeral worker pools, whereas Dagster sat in the middle and the asset catalog requires some overhead, but the return on investment in debugging speed was monumental. So here is your definitive 2026 selection matrix. Choose Airflow if you are a massive enterprise with the deep legacy roots. The migration cost to leave it is too high, and the version 3.x stability keeps it highly reliable. And choose Prefect if you are a fast moving Python heavy team focused on a dynamic event driven A ops and minimizing the infrastructure cost. And choose Dagster if you are building a modern lakehouse from the ground up and you want to treat data as a product with absolute clarity on lineage and quality. So the roadmap towards autonomous orchestration is moving incredibly fast. Stop building for 2020. Pick the engine that fits your architecture today and build pipelines that actually scale. So drop a comment below which orchestrator is currently running your weekends and which one are you migrating to. Subscribe for more deep dive benchmarks and I'll see you in the next win. Until then, take care. Bye bye.